Yo, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the Stripping the Dipping YouTube channel. Make sure you leave a comment in the live chat because we're going to be reading all of them throughout this awesome stream. Make sure as well you slap the like button like Will Smith. Listen, share the stream like how you're going to share your last dollar bill at the strip club because today is a special day, guys. It's the season finale of the 8 p.m. Debrief Cookout, blood. It's gonna get really, really fiery, and I've got a top bad boy chef with me as well. Listen, today is a bad boy episode, but let me reintroduce myself. I'm AMG Denz. I'm the MDM, the modern day Morgan Freeman. And listen, I ain't wearing no Louis.
Myself.
Man ain't wearing no Fendi. Man ain't even wearing no Gucci. Man are wearing a Quickstop sauce. You see what man's wearing. You see the sauce. You have to kiss the badge, you know. You just have to kiss the badge because that sauce is sweet. Lot of mercy.
Lord of mercy.
Oh, hasta la baby. Jeez, quick stop sauce, you know. Don't gas me. Listen, I'm excited, guys, because as you can tell, I've got one half of the legendary duo. Obviously, big shout out to the boss lady as well, you know. I haven't forgotten about you, Queen. Obviously, Queen Tandy Sabanda, honestly the best. And of course, as well, you got my broski, my brother from just down the road, you know, man, a local and that.
I know.
But bro, it's crazy. Nyasha, how are you feeling today, man?
I'm good, man. This is like the first, I think, from like 3 o'clock today, I felt like human again after Quickstop Live. So I'm so happy to be here to talk over this season with you. Thanks for having me on. Absolutely blessed. Love what you guys are doing over here. The growth since I think I was on before the season started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the growth that you guys have had, seeing the guests that you've had on, has been really cool to see. So thanks for having me back, man. It's very much appreciated.
Oh, bro, anytime at all, man. Because as I tell everybody, I always say it on Twitter and everywhere I go. That's why I even rep, you know, just the
You
platform
do.
on all
You
my
love
sim
that.
racing. Just like if it wasn't for Quickstop F1, there would be no AMG Dens, there would be no MDM, there'd be none of this, bruv. You guys, you and Tandy, honestly, have set the path, just like the trend, just everything you can imagine for content creator of our ilk, the standard, the professionalism, the just the way that you guys connect with the audience. You guys have managed to interact and engage and you know build a community into the new era. You know, it is so impeccable and something that inspires us all, man. So, you
Thank
know,
you. That's so cool. I think it's one of those things. Seeing like more and more Black F1 content creators, kind of join the scene and make their own mark, right? Everyone does it in their own unique way. And I think that's the cool thing. We all have our own personalities that we bring to the table, and it's super dope to be able to be a part of that. We're all a part of something greater, right? So
true.
it's just nice to be a part of it together for sure.
Oh man, I couldn't have said it better myself, man. Honestly, it's so true and it's organic as well. And just the way that you guys have done it, the way that you touch people week in, week out. Honestly, the culture needed it, you know, and it's so refreshing, like just to see you and just to see everybody in the community as well. So on that kind of note, yeah, sure, let's get into it then. So
Mm.
quick stop live, the experience. Come on then. Tell us, because you recently had one. You
Yeah,
also had one in the summer as well. I know that
yeah,
you get Tandy on there. I know that you also get Tommy Music. Shout out to
yeah.
Tommy. We also had him on a recent episode. But
Oh,
tell
nice.
us, how did it start and what's it like, you know, being able to just bring, you know, the platform from just like, you know, us taking it in dimensionally through the internet to
Yeah.
actually real life in a real life thing.
It's crazy, Dens. Like, it's hard to describe. I mean, like, first and foremost, a lot of us watch F1 on our own, right? I think if we watch things, watch F1 with people, maybe it's our family. You might be lucky to have like a housemate or a friend that you watch it with. But to be in a room of like 50 plus people who all love this sport as much as you do, and to watch it together and for people to cheer like like it's a football game, right? I never expected that. That was the one thing when we did it in July, the first one. I did wonder, like, what is it going to be like in the room whilst we're watching the race? And it's loud, it's mad, it's loud, it's people really like, I don't know, like really together, cheering, and it's just really cool. And I think there's that part. There's the part where a lot of people get to meet friends that they've met online. Like we all have like mutuals that we've made online. Obviously, we've met each other online and then met each other in real life. And I think it's really cool to be able to provide that kind of safe space for everyone to be able to meet their friends, support who they want to support, contrary to what people might think. We're not a hateful podcast. We know everyone is welcome. There's different fans there, and it's just like it's a carnival atmosphere. It's honestly, and there's really nothing like that, man. Like, and I'm just so proud, I guess, for us to be able to do something like that. Twice in a year, selling out 50 tickets is just crazy. Like, if you'd asked me in January or February, whenever we met online to do the first show, if we would do 2 live shows, I would have definitely, been like, that's crazy. So it's just it's a blessing, and it's humbling, but it's dope. It's dope. It's really cool. Really cool.
Bro, I think you summarized it perfectly, man. And like you said too, like there's a lot of us, even like myself, for example, I still haven't been to a real Grand Prix yet. So to get opportunity to actually connect with people, even if you can't fly out, or even if they're being a bit stingy with the Silverstone tickets and doing the weird little dodgy dynamic pricing thing. We see you, Silverstone. We see you,
bro. We see you.
We see them ticket prices. But yeah, like it's amazing. And like you said there as well, like Quickstop F1, it's not just a Lewis Hamilton community. It's not pigeonholed to one thing. I mean, we unapologetically will support Lewis Hamilton, no doubt about that. But having said that, like if you're cool, if you're genuine, if you're down to earth, you just love Formula One, you love cars, you love racing, it's the platform for you, and so many people as well I've seen, I can't wait to join the next one as well. I know Mary's always in the chat saying, Denzel, where were you? I know, and I will be there at the next one for sure. But
man. It's one of those as well. Like I must say, respectfully, there's like a lot of women there as well. And that's something that in F1 is not normal, right? You look at your analytics and it's like, always skewed towards men. I think as a sport, it's very skewed towards men. But I think to be able to have as many women in there, in a space where they feel like they could come to and support and meet people and people coming on their own as well, I think it's just testament to the fact that we have a following and a family which is really welcoming for anyone, no matter who you support, no matter how you identify. And I think that's super dope.
Exactly. And this is what I was just going to say to the guys in the comments as well. It's a safe place. It's honestly a safe space, for everybody to come together as well and to unite and to enjoy the sport, and the good elements of it that we try to support and celebrate. Anyway, so that's for sure. Listen, let me get through some of the comments here. We've got Kevin, man like Kev, man like Super Kev, always in here showing support as well. Thank you, my guy. Hey, Mary as well, veteran on this thing, honestly, she's always here. Stand up, stand down. She's always here.
Legend in this thing, yeah. Respect of the highest order only.
RSECT. Man needed to get that out there, man. It's true. Shout out to Mary. We got Jess inside here as well. What's going on, Jess, man? Thank you so much for joining us. And this guy's in the comments as well. We got so many people in here. Make sure you, even if you're just watching, make sure you just drop a comment, man. We're not gonna bite. We're not like exactly. Yeah, come on, man. Don't be stingy with the likes like Red Bull and their cost cap. Just saying.
All right, they weren't stingy. That was a problem.
Maybe they were too overindulgent. We'll get on to them in a second. But yeah, shout out to Jess. Yo, shout out to MJ as well. Albanian brother as well. Nice to see you inside here as well, man. We got on top of that as well, we got Tomiwa. Nice to see you inside here as well, man. Thank you so much. And I can imagine Sunday being a movie, man. Just even from how you described it as well, it sounds like it was a vibe, which so we like, man. Vibes like Vibes Cartel. That's what we
Yeah,
need.
vibes can't done.
You know the thing already, man. So let's kick on then. So final race review. I mean, I can't lie, bro. It did feel like a bit of a meh race in terms of the build up with what happened obviously last year with that
Yeah.
disastrous monstrosity. Then obviously as well, just a bit of kind of like I mean, everything had pretty much been sold other than this whole kind of Sergio Perez going for P2, which again is just
Well,
sideman Perez just on the side like coleslaw and chips, just like not even really relevant like that, really.
no.
Vettel. Oh, that's the next thing as well, bro. I know over the years you've been very vocal about man like Seb, so we'll chat about that too. And then listen, don't even get me on the W13 as well. We have to like have a quick note on that too. But come on then, bro. What was your thoughts on the final race of the season? Then
It
in
was a
Abu Dhabi?
2-pack of arse, bro. Let's not dance around it. It was awful.
Oh man.
It was awful. I mean, people forget as well that actually last year was quite boring. Like,
Mm,
up until the last bit at the end, where they manufactured a race, there was no race because Lewis sped off into the distance, and no matter how Max tried to undercut or overcut Lewis, people forget that Lewis was quicker on like much older tires than Verstappen was on new tires. Like it was a no contest,
mhm.
and that's kind of what happened this year. There was really no strategy that really could have worked that well. That could have, if you didn't have the pace, you just didn't have the pace. And I think, Mercedes showed that. And I think questions need to be asked really over the fact that Abu Dhabi is the last race of the season. They've already made changes to the layout of the track to engineer better racing. It doesn't seem to have worked. And they pay loads of money to have the last race. But as a season ender, it's such an anticlimactic race. And I think we saw that again on Sunday, especially when there was nothing on the line. And I guess in situations where there's something on the line, fine, you've got the jeopardy of what's going to happen. But like you said, no one cares about second place. No one cares about the fight for fourth place in constructors. Like no one cares. Like so, it was honestly, it wasn't great.
I agree, man. Just like again, I echo all the sentiments you made so far, bro, on that because this is one of those things where again nothing was really on the line for a while now. We've known that the season was going to go in this direction anyway. I agree with you in terms of Abu Dhabi being the championship finale as well. Like, I remember the days growing up and watching Brazil, as like the championship decider, and just the atmosphere you get from the fans and just how visceral that experience is compared to like the kind of situation we have. And don't get me wrong, it's nice to see Formula One expanding in places wouldn't normally go to. Kind of uncannily enough, we're seeing a similar kind of situation unfold with the World Cup at the moment in Qatar. But just generally speaking, in terms of just the track, and just kind of the sort of audience it tends to gravitate towards. Yeah, I don't really think it's one for the culture. And
No, it's just like you're really right there, right? And there's to all the people who went to Abu Dhabi, Mary went last year, and it's not about the people themselves, but you look at the culture of Brazil. They have a culture and a history of racing, right? And it's kind of in their blood, and you have a collective, all kind of contributing. Also, you have a track, a circuit, and a country which throws up variables. We all know what the temperature is going to be in Abu Dhabi. We all know generally what the pace is going to be of your car when you get there. There's nothing that really shakes the order up. Plus, the audience that go there, it's not as passionate as a Brazil. So, just as a comparison to what used to be the season finale to what we have now, it's not great. But it is what it is. That's what we have, and we have to go with it. But I guess hopefully with the new regs, what we'll see is we've got these regs until 2026, right? So end of 25. So I think hopefully we'll see a convergence in pace like we saw towards the end of the last regulations, and there'll be better racing. But I can't remember the last good Abu Dhabi race, to be honest.
Neither can I, man. Honestly, I have to go back all the way to 2014 when I saw Nico Rosberg limping with an
And that was it.
MGK.
Yeah, but that's because his car was like broken,
Mash up.
right? Yeah,
Exactly.
and Lewis was driving like 3 seconds a lap slower. So again, that was a kind of outside variable, kind of like Massey, where it kind of, you wouldn't expect it, but it happened, and yeah, not great.
True. Well, actually, Nyasha, on the topic of slow Mercedes, listen.
Yeah.
Fam, this W13, I'll give you a funny story. I was eating like a nice piece of jerk chicken, and I can't lie, the spice got to me, bro. The spice started like burning me up, fam. And
Where'd
my
you get it
girlfriend, man, it's called Mama's Kitchen, somewhere in Tottenham. But
is it? I need the
bro,
link to that still.
bro, I'll send it to you, bro. Hear this now. Hear the violation, bro. Sitting there, just trying and conceal in the coffin thing. Just trying to conceal the thing. My girlfriend was like, "Oh, babe, are you struggling?" I said, "Babe, don't worry. My people struggled for a long time because we've been watching the W13 for an entire season." That's what I said, That car had a suffer. It made me suffer.
Pain and suffering.
Oh, man. It's been woeful there, bro. And on the topic of which, come on, do you think surely they have to come with something better next season? They can't make us go. They can't put us and Lewis through that for another whole year, bro.
You'd hope not, right? I think, you'd hope not. I think for me, the sounds coming out of the factory are that they know what went wrong, and they've been able to build towards it. But that only came in October, I think, where they were like, with the new update that came, and then we had that string of races from Kota, where they were able to get on top of it. But in a circuit which was quite power dependent with the 2 long straights, the car looked woeful again. I think even at one point the porpoising was back. So I am not going to say that we're going to be the fastest car, but I do think we'll be closer. And all Lewis needs is a car that is like, even if it's 2/10 off, right? His tire preservation and his ability to be able to stretch strategies and to be able to put in hammer time stints, I think will put us in a good stead. I think it's definitely going to be better than last season. Hopefully Red Bull go a bit backwards with, whatever penalty they got with the CFD and wind tunnel time, and, everyone will be closer. But we'll see. We'll see. Honestly, if they'd found out what went wrong in June, I'd be like, okay, now you've had half a year to work on a new car. But they only found out a month ago, apparently. So it doesn't really, they've got to build a car in March. And a lot of teams, they would have started that ages ago. So we'll see. We'll see. What do you think?
Likewise, what you said as well, man. And I think as well, we've got a couple of comments that echo my views. Mary saying, "Drop the thing in the ocean. Just dash away the thing. That thing's gone off like sour milk." Kevin as well saying, "W13 trash can." It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard because, like you mentioned as well, man. It's not just a case of, oh, we know what's wrong, now let's implement it. There's so many months of research and development that go into it. And bear in mind, they had the delay of everything that happened the previous year to take into account as well. The only thing I think that really works in their favor is with them being third in the constructors now. They're gonna get a bit more time in the wind tunnel compared to Red Bull and Ferrari, which helps. On top of that as well, even though it's still nicer, to kind of have the budget of finishing higher up. Mercedes as a manufacturer have quite committed to the sport, and they've given those reassurances, by even mentioning that they're more than happy to renegotiate and renew Lewis' contract for many years to come, which we're still waiting for as well. And ultimately, too, as well, I think maybe it was just a bit of humble pie, not for Lewis or not for certain people in that team, but just generally, when you're at the top of your game and you've been dominant for so long, sometimes you need just kick up the backside to know that, Formula One doesn't stay the same. It's always changing and always teams
Yeah,
are always evolving. We've seen it
yeah,
this year with Alpine making that jump forward, and we're
yeah,
expecting to see it next year with Aston Martin and McLaren with their new wind tunnels, new factories, new
yeah,
drivers,
yeah,
stuff like that as well.
yeah. No, 100%. And like you said, I think it was a bit of a kick up the bum the team needed. Were they being too clever, bringing a different car to one test and then bringing the actual car to another test? It's just throughout the season having to develop it. Hopefully, that's made the team better in terms of and they have developed it far. But yeah, should we this question on screen?
Yeah, I was gonna lead into that next. So thank you, Keenan, for joining us and for this great question as well. Really like this one. Which race would each of you have as the season closer? Then listen, I'm gonna say, if I was gonna be unoriginal, we already mentioned Brazil as a season closer because that just has the vibes. For me as well, you know what? I'm gonna be out there and I'm still pushing for it and I still want it. I want a season finale in Kailami. That's what I want. That's what I want, bro.
Yeah, man.
The weather, the atmosphere, the track. It's just got every single ingredient you'd need for a season finale, man. So that's what I'm going for. But how about you, bro?
Kyalami would be dope. I don't know if Lewis would be able to concentrate. There's some fine babes over there. But
be more than one thing porpoising, that's for sure.
Yeah, am I right? But I would say, you know what? Yeah, if we're gonna have it in that region, give it to Saudi Arabia. Like, that track is a madness. You're pretty much guaranteed to have a safety car. You've got easy overtaking. You've got jeopardy because of the walls. It's been a banger the past 2 seasons. I think it's going to be up there now as circuits we just know we're going to get good races at. I'd even say, because we have Bahrain as a season opener, I'd even say Bahrain as a season ender would be incredible. Like, Bahrain's an incredible track, always a bang of a race. I say CJ saying no, but what I'm saying is Saudi Arabia will always throw up. What you want in the last race is jeopardy, right? You want it to be tight. You want people to be on the edge. Abu Dhabi is an easy circuit to go around, and there's too much data from there, and nothing ever changes. And I think, at least with Saudi Arabia, or you've got a chance of jeopardy. But if I was going to be really real, as a season ender, I'd probably say Bahrain. But it's a great season opener, so you don't really want to take it away from there either.
That's fair. That's fair, man. And to get to the 2 other kind of talking points, I guess, from this race week, as we're about to move on to the next one anyway. Sergio Perez missing out on P2. I mean, on the calculations, they're saying what Max did in Brazil actually wouldn't have had a bearing anyway. Yeah. But still, was there more the side man, the Mexican Pinata could have done, and on top of that as well, what did you make of the end of Vettel's career, man? Because I can't lie, my 2 pence in it was like, meh, he's done his time, it's good that he's moving on, give the seat to somebody else. But I don't know, when I heard, that Lewis basically organized a dinner for him, the kind of tribute they did at the beginning of the race, he got to do his little donuts at the end. I was like, rah, you know what now? It's just Lewis and that saltfish patty, saltfish Alonso. We're coming to the end of an era, bro. And it's a bit nuts that even he's gone.
We really are. I think with Vettel, the reason we were always so loud about Vettel, right, was that what he achieved in the sport was so high. To what he was doing, the gap between that is too much, right? It's too much. If Lewis can't be going around, and we all know the reasons why, but if Lewis can't be in the car he's in now and getting 5th, 6th, 4th, whatever, even still with loads of podiums this season, Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari was a disappointment. Let's be real right now. He had 2 seasons where he could have won a title, maybe 2018 more than 2017. But he probably should have won a title. He was spinning his car. Even when he went to Aston, he had shunts in the Aston first season. And it was just clear that the passion for the sport and his just general his level of performance had dropped. And I think for me, that's what I was always getting at. I was like, this guy is not the guy he used to be. Now, he's a lovely guy by all impressions. He's a lovely guy. And I think with F1 Twitter, F1 fandom in general, it's like if I say something bad about Vettel, it's almost like people think I'm telling him to suck his mum or something. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's nothing personal. But as commentators, which is what we are, we have to comment on what we see. I can only comment on what I see. So I'm glad that he got to go out on his own accord, right? I'm glad that he got to say, I'm leaving, and we got to say this goodbye to him. And it is the end of an era, you know, with Alonso there. We've got at least another couple of years of Alonso. You'd hope we've got at least 3 or 4 more years with Lewis. But it definitely feels like, you know, a big figure in the sport leaving and so forth. But I mean, on the track, we're not going to miss him. Let's be.
Yeah, 100% not, man. 100% not. Because, I mean, I agree with everything you said, bro. Like, you know, he still can do it, but the point and the pertinent bit you mentioned is to the level that we saw when he was at Red Bull, when he's at, like, even Toro Rosso before it got rebranded as AlphaTauri, you know, the stuff that we saw him doing. He was supposed to be, you know, the next Schumacher. That's how highly they had him up there, you know?
We thought he was going to break the record. Like, we thought he was going to be the one to break Schumi's records. Like, it was set in stone. The way that he was, like, going through titles, it was almost inevitable. So that he's went from that to being dusted by Charles in his, you know, in Charles's first 2 seasons there, not being able to sustain a title challenge when he had the car underneath him. You know, it's a shame for him and his fans that it didn't end up the way it did. But as a career as a whole, you know, you can look back and say, what a great career. Not many people have the career that Seb Vettel had, and he should be really proud. His fans should be really proud. And I hope he enjoys post racing retirement.
Yeah, me too, man. And I don't think he'll be too far away, man. There's an element of me that thinks he'll take on like a consultancy kind of Nicky Lauda type kind of like vibe. Like, you know what it is with these drivers, man. They can't withstand that itch, that bug, that kind of paddock feeling. So we'll segue onwards there, bro. Because I mean, out with the old and in with the new. Because we got some new kids on the block, some freshies to join us next season. So you got a young plantain Piastri, you know, finally, my lips to God's ears, my guy, finally, by the grace of the Lord, finally got his seat after so much turmoil caused by Alpine and Zach Brown and all that stuff. You've got Logan Sargent, and for a long time, I feel the American audience have been asking for an American driver to be on the grid. We haven't had one since Alexander Rossi, that's now in IndyCar. So now have him. And then, listen, got Nyck Blood Clot the Fries, you know. Can I get some fries in that? Yo, man just turned up on one faithful day in Monza on a Saturday, put the thing in Q2. He said, all right, then, you want to see something? Quickstop sauce on them. Quickly get some points as well. Like, you know, like all 3 of them, I think is going to be exciting to watch. I think as well as that, we've gone past that kind of meme era of Formula 1. We had pay drivers, you know, like the likes of Mazepin and obviously them guys there as well. Latifi's gone.
Yeah.
Bro, what's your take on the new blood coming forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, Nyck is not even really new blood to be honest. How long ago did Nyck win F2? That feels like a lifetime ago. And he's even won Formula E after that. So, you know, he had a chance and he took it. And I guess that's what someone like Daniel Ricciardo is looking at, where if you're around and you get an opportunity and you show up, it shows, you know, I can do a job. And I think that works for him. But I'm glad Nyck de Vries got a seat. I think anyone who wins F2 deserves a chance in F1, no matter how long it's been. I think it's a travesty that he won F2 and had to go the route that he did, or route that he did. And I don't know where my American accent came from there, but I think that's good. Piastri is an interesting one. I worry about Piastri. I'm not gonna lie. He is going into. We saw what happened to Daniel Ricciardo. He's going into a team where it's clearly Norris's team. He's not had much experience with developing that particular car. Obviously, he was in there today, I think, or yesterday. Whenever was it today when the test was?
Yeah.
So obviously, he was in there today, but I think McLaren are going backwards as well. And I know you mentioned the wind tunnel that they've built, but that's even delayed until the middle of next year.
Ooh,
I don't think they're still renting their wind tunnel, so it's not even so. It doesn't honestly. I can see Piastri getting absolutely cooked next season. And the thing is, Norris is a generational talent. Let's not mess around it. Like, he is not, no matter what you might think of him personally, and no matter what you might think of what happened in Russia and so forth, there was a period in time where Lando Norris was, after Verstappen and Lewis, the third best driver on the grid, when McLaren were able to get podiums. And even this season, I'm pretty sure he's best of the rest, right?
Only driver out of the top 3 teams to get a podium.
Right? Like, come on. And that was that Monaco as well?
I'm pretty sure it was Imola, because Charles Leclerc had a Charles Leclerc moment.
Yeah, that was the one. Thank you, Denz. So, I mean, yeah, I do worry about Piastri. Sargent, I mean, look, I think it's cool that America have got a driver. Do I think he is? I don't think he. I mean, look, you look at that F2 grid. I don't think Sargent is necessarily one of the best drivers on that grid, but and I think you look at his background, and it's not exactly, I would say, the most, let's say, liberal background. So whether that will endear him to a lot of people, and that will turn him off from a lot of people. So I think if he can match Alex Albon, he's got a career there, I guess. But again, I just think they're just feeding Alex Albon more fodder to absolutely, to be honest.
True.
So I've not got any high expectations for Logan, and we'll see. But people can surprise you.
They can, and to kind of add to that point as well, a lot of people said the same thing about Zhou Guanyu last year around this time too.
Very true. True.
And the thing with the F2 as well is that it's just so competitive. Like, every week we get a new race winner. I know that, I say so competitive. Felipe Drugovich won the championship with about 2 or 3 races to go. But bear in mind, he'd been in F2 for about his, I think, 3rd or 4th season. So he's been around.
Yeah, exactly.
So that could happen. And there's so many names that are coming up in F2, and so many drivers in driver academy programs as well, such as Mick Doohan, obviously, as well. You've got the likes of, I think, what's his name? Dennis Heuger, the Norwegian Red Bull driver as well.
Iwas is in the Red Bull.
The kind of Honda Red Bull kind of program as well.
Yuki thing,
exactly, Yuki 2.0. You got so many different ones there as well, man. So, if one of them got opportunity to come up, I can't complain.
Yeah,
as long as they don't become a nuisance, kind of like how Latifi was becoming a nuisance.
Well,
we can put up with them, I suppose.
Did Latifi ever win F2? He didn't, did he?
I don't know, I think there's one fugazi where
because
just on a Bandulu kind of like.
I think he might have maybe come second. I can't remember. But he was also in multiple seasons. And then he got a driving life. Look, I'd rather we have drivers coming up from F2 than bringing people like Hulkenberg back. That is so detrimental to the sport. It shows, but I guess it shows the financial realities, right, of a team like Haas. Do you put in a rookie, do you put in a rookie and take a gamble on talent, but you have to pay for that rookie to make mistakes? Or do you just put in someone who's not going to bin it, will bring results home when they're possible, and go from there? And, there needs to be more to be able to bring more young drivers through. But they're not taking on new teams, so I don't really know how that's going to happen.
I agree, man. And on that kind of notion as well, like it's intriguing. It's really it's a kind of fine balance because I saw people cooking Gunter Steiner, boy. Jeez. Just like, the real like mixed stands, they came out in full effect because they weren't happy at all. Of I think by the nature which they left it towards the end of the season to just kind of say, yeah, now you're done. And he didn't even give my guy the opportunity to try and negotiate a little thing with Williams under the table midway into the season. They left it right to the last and kicked my guy out the door. But having said that, you're right. Haas were in a financial kind of time where they had lost their big major sponsor in Rich Energy. Obviously, the owner, Gene Haas, was saying that he wasn't going to put any more money into it. So, Gunter Steiner was basically left in a position where it was like eat or be eaten. You had to take two pay drivers. You can see how they've used the money and used their relationship with Ferrari to bring a package that's a bit more competitive. And now that he's done that and he's got what he can get out of that kind of era, time to do something different. But like you mentioned as well, I don't want to see Hulkenberg, man. You've seen enough when Lance Stroll has more credentials than Nico Hulkenberg in terms of more podiums and actually an equal level of pole positions as well. That's nuts.
I mean, it's crazy. Denz, it's crazy. Look, Nico Hulkenberg is a solid driver, okay, but Nico Hulkenberg, he's had a chance. He had a great career. Again, not many people get to stay in F1 as long as Hulkenberg did, and it just, for us fans. But you never know, right? Next season, who knows? Haas always start the season well, right? And so who knows? Maybe there's a mix-up race at the beginning of the season, and he finally gets, it's all set up now. K-Mag got a pole, right? Who's to say that Hulkenberg won't get that podium finally? And what a story that will be. But he's had a chance.
True. And on the topic of that pole, listen, man, like George P.R. Russell, because he's another individual, bro, that tends to divide and polarize a lot of people. Because on the sportsman side of things, people feel that he's a bit too clean cut and a bit too Mercedes industry crop. Right. Then on the flip side, when he wants to get that real dog, when that dog needs to come out of him and he needs to be selfish, when he needs to chuck Lewis underneath the bus, he'll fully do it,
Yeah.
So I guess to answer Mary's question, bro, what's your take on George, just generally, and also what do you think of his performance and the way he settled into the team in his debut year with the manufacturer?
Look, if you gave me a choice between George Russell and Valtteri Bottas, I'm choosing Valtteri Bottas. Never. George Russell every fucking time. Look, for me, we're all invested in Lewis, right? And I get it. There's one person, let's be honest, who shouldn't be invested in Lewis Hamilton is George Russell. So if he sees an opportunity to bin it and keep third place or whatever, whether we think that's on purpose or not, I don't think it was, but whatever, right? George is not going to come into the team. In fact, it would be negligence on the part of Mercedes for George to come into the team and for us to say, okay, new kid, you do all the setup, when he doesn't know the team, he doesn't know the car, and he's just come into the team. So then we'd have George lagging around in God knows where, Lewis lagging around in God knows where with a rubbish car, which is not being set up properly. And Lewis took that decision himself to put all the experiments on him. So I understand. What we don't like is the media kind of pushing the narrative, right? But I think George has been respectable enough, and he's his own man. So of course he's not going to deny that he wants to beat Lewis. Of course he wants to beat Lewis. I mean, Lewis wants to beat George. Like we want competitive people. Do I think over the course of a season, and I think it's shown once we stopped doing the experiments, Lewis washed George since Canada. Like, I'm not worried about George Russell ever being on a level with Lewis Hamilton ever, right? So I think George is a great teammate to have. We want someone who's capable of pushing the car, of pushing Lewis. And I think we'll see next season, Lewis will be consistently like 2 tenths ahead, probably, like a tenth and a half, 2 tenths ahead. And I don't see the Machiavellian kind of thing with George. I just think he does have a streak where it's self-preservation.
Mm.
He's not here to, he'll respect Lewis. And I think you name one teammate that's been as effusive in their praise of Lewis than George. Go and
True.
find the interviews of Lewis's teammates talking about Lewis and find me one of them who has been as complimentary and respectful to Lewis in interviews. You will not find it. So I understand we don't like the media kind of pushing this narrative that, George beat Lewis and George, George is George going to be able to, beat Lewis in a championship winning car, whatever. They're always going to do that because the media don't like Lewis. But I don't think George is negatively impacting on that personally. And that's always been my view of it. But of course, Lewis is number one, of course.
I think that's fair, bro. And like you mentioned too, I think he's done enough to kind of solidify his seat there. Like you said as well, when he's been given the tools to get a job done, 9 times out of 10 he gets a job done. Although we've seen 1 or 2 blips, but again, it's to be expected with a guy in at the top. First year doing that as well. And like you mentioned too, like we've seen Sky, particularly Sky and Nico Rosberg and Martin Brundle and Naomi Schiff all try like a little kind of like bait thing. And George's that's where I think the PR kind of side of him, the kind of robotic side, it helps because he protects the team. He never says anything like what we've seen with other teams, Red Bull, with an inter-team kind of type thing, or even a Ferrari, as we've seen at times as well. So definitely one to watch.
This is the thing, Denz. Like, would you rather have what we have a Mercedes in terms of like driver pairing and cohesiveness, or let's say we fucking put a civil war onto our teammates and we have what's going on at Red Bull, or we have what's going on at Ferrari, where Charles wants to be team leader, but isn't quick enough to be team leader over Sainz. He's doing an incredible job over there. So I think I would rather have George, and whatever failings or misgivings I have about George, I'd rather better the devil for
real. Than the devil you don't know. True. And in this time as well, bro, I just think, if this was Mercedes kind of W11 dominance era, I think maybe you could afford to have something like that because the car is so developed and the drivers are so interlocked with each other. You can afford to throw a point there, a point there. But as we saw on Sunday, Lewis held up Perez for a lap or 2, and that was his P2 in the championship, done and dusted. So you cannot afford to waste time in this modern day formula with how compressed the championship is and how things have come. So definitely an interesting one. And what we'll do now, we will move on to actually, funnily enough, and I implore people to go and check it out too, because a year ago, I was on the flip side. I was nervous, just with my little sim racing wheel. I was on Quickstop F1, kind of being asked questions to do with awards and kind of like things.
Oh, God, I remember.
Man, good times. And I implore, obviously, all the listeners as well to engage because we're going to be asking you guys too. But yes, interactive questions and some awards that we have to hand out. So, first one, bro. Flop of the season, bro. Now, a few candidates. Obviously, you're more than welcome and free to, to suggest your own ones too.
Yeah, sure.
We've had Pranusha, shout out to Pranusha. We've also had Molly as well from our Twitter community, throwing a couple into the bag, which was nice to see. So inside here, I have the FIA for their inconsistency and lack of safety standards. I have Sideman Bad B Perez for basically just expecting to be the guy at Red Bull when he's not. I've got Ferrari and Binotto because Ferrari just do Ferrari things, as Jess would tell me, and Binotto as well. I think what triggers people is that he takes no accountability. It's always, oh no, this is just fine, and this is still better than where everyone expected us to be. But no, my guy, you had the fastest car at the beginning of the season, and you just let that man run rampage with a like just howler after howler after howler. It's ridiculous. We got Mick Schumacher on that list as well. We got Saltfish, Patty Alonso. We got Red Bull's catering and accountant department. We got the Alpine driver management system. We've got Lando Norris's Instagram DM game and McDonald habits.
Oh my god!
Everybody's getting cooked, bro. So let's get into that. And guys, if you're listening as well, make sure you put yours in the comments too.
God, so many candidates. I would say it's between the FIA and I would say Ferrari out of the things you've put in there. We have to remember the FIA, we're coming off the back of last season, everything that happened towards the back end of last season. Remember, we got a, frankly, bullshit report, which didn't really do enough to kind of explain why the decision was made. Human error is not enough of a reason. Like, you interviewed him, why did he do it? Like, to say that there was an agreement beforehand is bullshit. So then we go into, remember Saudi Arabia, where there was an attack on the gas plant, like down the road during FP2, I think. Then drivers didn't want to race, and they basically forced them. Then you've got, obviously the cost cap stuff, the Japan, inconsistency with that. We had the track limits issues as well this season.
Austria was a big one for that.
Yeah, right. Like, they've been so bad, and it feels like, if you look at the cost cap situation, they just don't have a handle on the sport, and it feels like every week we're discussing something to do with stewarding or the FIA in some way. I must say, Red Bull as a team, as much as they've won, for a championship winning team to be in the news as much as they have for the wrong reasons is incredible. They must have put out like 3 or 4 statements this year.
Statements were doing statements, bro.
That statement template was very platinum. Like,
bro, so many statements. I thought I was at a police station.
Right.
Honestly, getting interviewed.
Right, bank statements. I mean, honestly, like, how many statements do we need? So, yeah. But for me, I just think the way the sport is being run at the moment is absolutely awful. And so I'm going to give it to the FIA, because from the moment the year kind of turned into 2022, you can't name one good thing the FIA have done. Even their women's feeder series announcement earlier, although that is Formula One themselves, but even stuff like that, like, I just don't think they've got their finger on the pulse at all of what's going on, and I think they're awful.
True. I think you said it perfectly, man. And it's the hypocrisy as well, bro. It's not even just that, because, all right, cool. Like, even though F1, it's not even us. F1 itself calls itself the pinnacle of motorsport, so they hold themselves to high regard.
Yeah.
It's the hypocrisy that comes with it, man. Because how are you telling me, that you're putting tractors on the circuit at Suzuka, but it's Lewis Hamilton's nose piercing that you're more concerned with?
Right? God forbid I've got a nose piercing, but I can have a wedding ring. Like, it doesn't make sense, bro. It doesn't make sense. They're so wishy-washy. They've got no control, no consistency, like you say, and it's just a shame because it ruins the sport. And not for me.
Yep, true. Let's get through a couple of these comments then. So, MFS 1215 says, "Love the refreshing balanced view of George." Yep, and I think it was fair. I think said everything we need to say on that one. Thoughts on Pierre at Alpine alongside Ocon? MFS will come back to this because there's a couple of predictions, and on top of that, it will come into another question I'm gonna ask later. But good question, and thank you for that. Thoughts on Mr. Salty? So yeah, I don't know if you realize I call Alonso Saltfish Patty because that guy's bare salty, bro. He's been salty since 07, as Tommy would say. But again, your quick comments on that one as well for Mary. How do you think he'll fit in there? Considering he's quite an outspoken individual in a very bureaucratic system that's favored towards, an owner of a team which son happens to drive for.
I don't think it's going to end well. It never ends well with Alonso. He is quite possibly the worst. He is the Cristiano Ronaldo of F1, right?
I've been saying this. Thank you.
Without the achievements, right? Like, he's all ego. He's toxic. He's not a team player. And I don't imagine the situation that Aston Martin is such a bad car. It's not going to get better in 2 years. It's not going to be fighting for titles or wins or podiums. He's gone from the out of the frying pan into the fire. I think he's made a backwards move, in all honesty. But he's done it because they gave him 2 years instead of 1. So we've now got 2 years of Alonso being unhappy and fighting with his teammate. And Lance Stroll is going to stick the business on him. Lance Stroll don't care. He will stick the business. If he needs to put you on the wall, then he'll do it. So I can't wait. I hope Lance I really hope one day they safely crash. Like, sure, I don't want to crash where they're hurt. That's horrible.
Yeah, no, of course not.
But I'd love a crash where they both get out the car and they're like, it's your fault. I can't wait.
Bro, you know it's gonna happen because Lance Stroll has the spatial awareness of a goldfish. Like, you know that's gonna happen at some stage. So and Alonso can't say nothing because like it's not his team. Like, it's his teammate's dad's team. So if you don't like it,
there thinking it's his team, and he'll think that he'll be able to go in there. It'll be interesting. Papa Stroll's not a very outspoken person. We don't hear from him a lot, like, on race days or anything like that. So,
when you do though,
when you do, you will know. So it'll be interesting to see if Alonso, if he publicly criticizes the team. But also, I reckon Papa Stroll will actually be like, I'm sure he's been giving the team absolute rollickings behind closed doors. So he might think, that's the attitude we need. We need to scare these people into making the car faster. Let's chuck another couple £1 million at it and see if it works. But it's not going to be great.
True. All right, let's get through a couple more of these comments. So, Classic Sport, thank you so much for joining us, man. Our AlphaTauri the worst team, pound for pound, worst team. Well, I've been surprised because actually quite a few people have been giving AlphaTauri that heat. And I can't lie, when you actually think about it, bro, they've flattered to deceive. They really haven't made any steps forward, considering earlier this year we were talking about, Yuki Tsunoda that should be more experienced, making less mistakes.
Yeah.
Meh. And a Pierre Gasly that at the time we thought that he'd be setting himself up in the shop window, either to, be there in case Lewis decided to stand down, which thank God it's not happening, or for that McLaren seat, which again they gave to a complete rookie. Yeah. So, what's your take on that, man?
I think AlphaTauri in a weird situation. I think they're quite limited by the fact that they basically have to run Red Bull parts. And are they not older Red Bull parts? Well, maybe they're not, but you're quite limited when you're not able to design your own stuff and you're having to understand someone else's parts and put things onto and build your car around other parts. Look at Haas, right? They were sticking Ferrari parts in their car and they didn't know how to develop it. That's why they were always last, because they just don't know how to use these parts and they don't have the budget to develop. I think AlphaTauri said they're going to make more of their own parts next season, so let's see how that goes. Do I think they're pound for pound the worst team? No. I think if you look at the money people are spending behind the scenes, it's got to be Aston Martin. Like, they've spent a lot on infrastructure, and I guess that's for years to come. But if you think of the money that he's invested into that team, and you could even say McLaren as well. Like, McLaren have, I'm pretty sure, quite a high wage bill and infrastructure bill. And for a team like McLaren to be where they are, to be below Alpine, I just think, but maybe we're moving towards a time where if you're not in a a factory team, you're always going to be behind. Maybe these new regulations are showing that being a factory team, developing your own engine, developing your own car with your own parts, that's the way forward. And I think McLaren, until they enter into a situation like Red Bull have, where they're pretty much Red Bull powertrains or Honda, whatever you want to call it, until they have their own engines, they're always going to be in the midfield. They're never going to win. They're never going to win a world title. So, yeah.
It's mad to say though, bro, because McLaren was that team. When you had the great Senna, you had the great Mika Hakkinen. Kimi did a stint there, but got unlucky with some of Adrian Newey's more crazy kind of philosophies with the zero. Even back then, Adrian Newey was doing this front crease. He's doing madness back then.
They were fast, but they were unreliable. Like that was
true.
That was the issue. Right? But again, you can always look at Mercedes. In that period of time, had great engines, but were unreliable. So, yeah, it's not great with McLaren. Like I said, they were always a great team, but they seem to. Denz, can I just get a drink? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I'm gonna be back.
All right, cool. We're gonna read some of the comments in the meantime while Nyasha gets a drink. So yeah, let's see what you guys are saying as well. So we've got Keenan inside here saying, Charles, well, man, that is a fair shout because we looked at the first race and Charles had Max in his back pocket. When he's playing DRS chicken, he was using his wheel-to-wheel kind of combative skills to get the better of Max. But then throughout the season, we saw, like Max would, Charles would crack under pressure, make one or two mistakes, as we saw in Paul Ricard. Ferrari as well put Charles in some awkward positions where he had to overdrive the car and make some mistakes. Strategically, we saw Ferrari committing themselves to some really weird strategies, like, going on to the mediums, I think, in Hungary when everybody was on the softs, or kind of like, trying to have a questionnaire form filled out by the drivers. So definitely agree with you on that one. Mary giving it to Bernie Eccleston, even though, again, Bernie's a weird one because he's not completely gone, but at the same side, not the complete guy he used to be in terms of all the headlines and stuff. So yeah, that's a thing too. And what we'll do, guys, then we'll go on to the next question because this is a funny one. Nyasha, pick a driver to get sent to the gulag. Like, just a driver you just want to send to F1 prison because this year they just done some crimes against humanity that they should have just got rossed up for. Like, for example, Charles Leclerc's howler in Paul Ricard, which I actually just mentioned. That was a stinker.
That was so bad.
Or Yuki Tsunoda's kind of interesting, yellow flag safety car tactics in Zandvoort.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Do you know what I hated about that? Yeah, let me tell you something. Let's have a chat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I hate about F1 journalists? Yeah, we have seen Spygate, we have seen Crashgate, we've seen Abu Dhabi 2021. We've seen drivers park it. Nico Rosberg parking it in Monaco. Schumacher parking it in Monaco. For F1 to suggest, Red Bull breaking the cost cap, for F1 to suggest, journalists to suggest that any team who would potentially cheat is impossible, why would Red Bull cheat? They've already won it. These are sports people with a ruthless streak. It is not, I'm sorry, beyond the realms of possibility. It looked shady as, right? So, of course, we have a distrust with the sport. We don't trust the people who run it. They're all liars anyway. Why couldn't it happen? It's not an impossible thing for it to happen. And for them to, talk down on people like we're just these mad conspiracy theorists really got my back up. And that's what I hate about F1 media in general and why I would it's why I back independent content creators who say it how it is. Look, we might be wrong, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility for those teams to lose. Pierre Gasly at Qatar last year, do you remember when he just went wide when Max was behind him? All of a sudden, at a corner no one goes wide at. But Max is coming through. He's being told on the radio, run your own race. You're not fighting. These are two sister teams. You're telling me there's no collusion? Get out of here, bro. Honestly, I just found that ridiculous, and I hated the narrative around that. Carry on.
No, fair, and just again articulated brilliantly, because I would have said exactly the same thing in the way that they responded, how also, the F1 pundits responded as well to the fans, and how they do this anyway, when they can't handle the truth. And like you mentioned, like F1 is such a high stakes sport where anything could happen. And no matter how many calculations, no matter how many simulations, no matter how many things you do, there's certain things that are out of your control, and people get desperate. So at the end of the day, this thing's on the line at the end of the day, and people, it was only last year where people were saying if Red Bull didn't win the championship last year, which they didn't, they were on a technicality given it. But if that hadn't been the thing, perhaps the owner of Red Bull, Dietrich Mateschitz, would have got rid of Christian Horner. It's decent, people.
His arse was on the line.
Mm.
For real. No, that's a fact. That is a fact. So why wouldn't they? What, you're telling me that getting Max a win in Zandvoort is not something that is in Red Bull's favor? It's not something that marketing-wise makes sense. It's not something that for Max would
sponsors as well.
Come on, man. Get out of here.
And at that stage, and kind of talking about flop of the season, AlphaTauri had no business just being on the grid this year. They just never looked like doing anything. At least Haas got, like a pole position. At least Aston Martin, they tried loads of different configurations of packages. At least with Williams, both drivers actually got points, in a weird way, and actually at the high-speed circuits like Spa, they were a nuisance. At high-speed circuits like, Imola, they were a nuisance. At least all other teams, they had something to kind of fight for. I didn't think
a standout moment.
Exactly. Whereas AlphaTauri, all of their things are just a bag of jokes. And it just comes down to them ultimately being Red Bull side project, and just basically a house, just as a training ground for the future kind of star drivers to go in.
They used to be, but now they're not. Like,
true.
You know what I mean? Like they're not. And I just think it's crazy that you've got a whole academy, you've got drivers there in your academy, but you're unwilling to give them a chance. What's the point in having the academy if it just doesn't make sense.
True. Go Kimi Räikkönen reference here. Nyasha, no, you will not have the drink. I remember that. Just putting Stroll inside there too. Listen, you're on to Stroll hard,
That's my guy. Okay.
Yo, I don't think he's actually that bad. I don't think he's that bad, to be fair.
He's bad, but he's not that bad. He is. You know what I like about Lance? Lance could do a long tire stint very well. Like, you will see Lance on like 40 lap old hard tires, being able to make up grid like spaces, and then on an overcut coming through the field on soft sides. He does that really well. He did that a few times this season. But
man, that's like Perez and Inshallah strategy, bro.
That is pretty much all Aston Martin do.
Yeah, they've been doing it since the Force India days, and obviously the Racing Point days as well, man.
Yeah, it's really true. I forgot about that.
That's the thing. Mary saying Max Soti and the stewards for the shady antics. Have to agree with you there. Classic Sport saying flop of the year drive, I think Ricciardo. True. I mean, look at who doesn't have a drive next season.
Denz, what's your opinion on Daniel Ricciardo?
Well, I'm gonna literally try and paraphrase what our Queen Tandy said last year when it was like roles reversed and you guys were hosting, I was on. She's like, the honey.
You were on.
Yeah, same episode, man. And she's like, basically the honey badger. I know I'm quote tweeting, but basically turned into like a meerkat, like just like he just was not at the races this year with McLaren. I think towards the end, I think it was just a case where he just said, you know what, screw it, and he just kind of threw caution to the wind, and he's just having fun out there. But in terms of what we were saying earlier with Lando, whether you like Lando, whether you don't like Lando, whether you think the team build around Lando or they don't, Ricardo needed to be doing much better for a driver of his caliber and what we've been seeing in the past. For a guy that played, another thing as well, Nyasha, that I will never really let him look for. This is the same guy that had bare chat for Lewis and used to say, if you put me and Lewis in the same car, I could do a row. And now man can't even, you know what I'm saying? Man, I might have to put him on the fraud watch list. I haven't got my notepad, but I might have to bring that back because.
Where did we even go, Nick? I mean, I guess he's looking at Checo's seat. Like, if I stay around and Checo doesn't do well next year, maybe Red Bull cancel his contract and bring me back. That's got to be his play, basically.
You know how mad it is? Man was the guy at Red Bull. He was the guy that knocked Sebastian Vettel out of the team, only for a 17-year-old to come in, do a couple of years, get promoted, and then kind of show him who the real guy is. He left Red Bull as a second driver, and now he's coming back as a third driver, bro.
It's crazy.
Yikes. Could never be my goat.
It's like splitting up with your girl and then moving back into her house with her new partner. Like, it's just, it don't make sense. It don't make no sense, bro. But, I mean, look, good luck to him. But unless Red Bull take him back, I can't imagine who's going to pay his salary, honestly. So
that's the only team where I actually thought maybe if you're just talking about money is no object was Aston Martin. But again, because he hasn't won any championships and because he hasn't had the form he had when he was at Red Bull, you could see, like, as much I don't really rate Alonso, I could see why marketing wise and why just, as just like a character that's gonna like trigger people to work harder, why they go for him rather than, the smiley honey badger kangaroo type guy that, like has helmets that look like vomit basically. There's things in this game, man. So it's true. Mary saying, can we sell Will Buxton to the Gulag? Of course, flipping Shrill Buxton. Don't know if you got any comments on that one, bro.
I am not commenting on F1 personnel. Let's move on. Bro, I was at Netflix the other day, so I can't.
Okay. Oh, you sold out now. You sold out now, bro. Yeah.
I was on Netflix the other day. There might be a thing. I can't talk bad about Drive to Survive.
Okay. Well, there was this question. I'm gonna let you read for a bit, but we'll come back to that one then.
Cool.
Okay. All right then. So you've been roasting a couple of people. We've been letting this fire, heat up a bit. But let's kind of turn the heater down a bit and kind of reflect on some good moments of the season and just for you, who your star of the year is. Because we've got a couple of nominations. You've got Lewis inside there, again, for leading the team through hardship. You've got Ted Kravitz, we're just on the topic of like F1 journalists and stuff, but Ted don't give no monkeys. Like, he says it as it is, which I rate. Even Nyck the Vries, just if you're talking about one standout moment where you didn't expect somebody to do something and he did it.
Yeah.
But for you, bro, any stars of the year, anybody you'd like to nominate or anybody that hasn't been mentioned on that list, guys in the comment as well, let us know.
I think Lewis, obviously, like, those who know, right? The girls who get it. And I think for me, to lead the team through undoubtedly the worst year they've had since he's been there, even worse than 2013, is incredible. And just the light that he brings to F1 off the track. Pardon me. The fashion walk, fashion parade, paddock fashion week that we get every Thursday to Sunday. We're blessed with a different outfit, which is just like incredible. His work off the grid with the diversity.
Yep. Mission 44, Accelerate 25.
All of that, like, incredible. And the interviews, the magazine covers, like, imagine how dry this sport would be without him. Like, honestly, it doesn't bear thinking. And unfortunately, may be a reality one day, but I just have so much respect and love for him as a sports person. I just think, like I said in the past, we're so lucky to have him and to be living through it. There's so many sporting greats that we would have never been able to live through watching. So many sporting greats that were before our time. You know, even Thierry Henry, like I was, you know, when we won the title in 2004, I was 15, right? So I appreciated it, but as like an adult, I would have appreciated it so much more. So for it to align so well and have such a long period of him being great, and to have this season where he really fought through everything, and he had so much bad luck, but he was still positive. I've got so much respect for him. I must say as well, Ted Kravitz is not going to be about as much next year because he's got like back issues, so he's going to be on the grid less, and that's going to be really keenly felt because there's going to be other people stepping in who, let's just say, aren't as charismatic, and I think, you know, the product will be hurt by that, and it's a shame. My star of the year, if it's not Lewis or Ted, I'm gonna go with F1 Twitter as the star of the year, because if we didn't have each other, God knows how we would have got through this season and the off season last, you know, in before. And, you know, you guys really keep all of us content creators going. Like, without you guys, we would not be anything, to be honest. You know, and the community that we've all built up and are able to share in and experiences, you know, we're genuinely lucky to have that. So I'd say F1 Twitter is my star of the year.
Yeah, and I think that's a great one as well. I didn't even think of, bro. But again, like you said, you know, without them, there is no us. And even, can we talk about that for a minute too? Just like how much the energy of like your audience influences how motivated you can be, and kind of like, you know, when you get those engagements, you know, when you get those likes, you know, when you get the kind of comments and stuff like that, whether it's negative or whether it's positive, like, you know, it gives you that kind of ammunition to keep going, to keep pressing, to keep doing what you're doing, you know?
You're so right. And look, for me, I'll always say to any content creator, first and foremost, the work is the most important thing, right? The content is the most important thing. You have to make content that you would want to watch, basically. Don't make content that you think people want to watch. You have to make content that you want to watch first and foremost. But when you work in that way and then it's received in such a positive way, it's so fulfilling and it's so validating. And that's more validating to me. I don't care about going on Sky Sports. I don't want to be on like any Driven Monday. I don't want to, like, you know, I don't care if we don't get invited out to races. I don't care. What I care about is feeding the people content that they love and that I love, and that we get to share in it together and to share all these emotions. And that's the dope thing about content creation. And, you know, that's where we get our energy from, and for us to be able to release merchandise and for people to support it, and for I see that you've got, you know what, yeah, I'm not even gonna lie, yeah, you've got like, there's only like 9 of the white t-shirts. Like, there's only like the first batch of merch we made that everyone hated. there's only like 9 of those that we sold before I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put it because everyone hates it. But even that, I guess that journey from going from like flopping on that to now releasing merch and it going all over the world, and, you know, selling so many t-shirts, and it's just incredible. The community that we have, all of us that we share, is incredible. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer to say yes.
Yeah, no, but it needed to be said, bro, and I'm glad you said it too, you know, because people think, and I'll say it too, you know, because I said it at the beginning of the show, like, you know, without you guys, there would be no me. And even now that I'm in this kind of thing, I feel like I've got a duty of care, you know, to people. And if I go missing for like a day or two, people are like, oh, where have you been? Where's this video? Where's this? And, you know, it's not that people are bossing you about a thing. Just people become accustomed to it.
They care.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah.
get, and like it's part. You're actually part of people's routines. Like I had people come up to me and like, I listen to you on the tube to work every Tuesday. I, you're part of my weekly routine, and I think that is that's a really cool thing to be able to do. So I think when you're part of people's lives like that, it's a very humbling thing, and it's cool.
So true. And also on F1 Twitter, this the banter, man. The memes, the jokes, the kind of agendas, the agendas that be running on there sometimes. It's so hilarious, man. So
Man.
yeah, like it's great to see. Jess, with a question for you as well, man. I'll let you answer that one. Move on to the next question.
No, what it is. It's a really good question. It's a really good question, and we're going to address it at some point. But in all honesty, like, so when you're a content creator and you get offers, and you're like, "Oh, this is cool, right?" And you get an offer from Twitch. It's hard to say no to that offer, because you're like, "Wow, someone like Twitch." Showing that they want to work with you and they want to put you forward and so forth is really cool. But Quickstop F1 is still like a passion project, essentially. Like I have a full-time job, and hopefully that won't be the case for too long. But we were contracted to do like 20 hours a month, and like I don't want to do 20 hours a month. And I actually made myself ill trying to fulfill the quota for October. Made me ill from like exhaustion in like the beginning of November, and I just thought, I don't think this is for us. It's not right, basically. And you have to try things.
Yeah.
You have to see how things work, and I'm glad we took it on. I'm really grateful to Twitch for giving us that opportunity. We will be going back live for sure, but again, as a content creator, don't just look at what other people are doing and think, okay, I'll do that, and then whatever, right? What works for someone might not work for you. And I think whilst Twitch works for some people, I think for us, it doesn't work as much in terms of how we live our lives and how we want to make content and so forth. So we will be going live, and there will be the live shows, and Tandy Talks will be back and so forth. But I got so busy, and like the merch started popping off, and there's all the things with that. I had to build a website, I had to build another website when that one went down, and all of those things. When you're like, it turns from a passion into a business.
Yeah.
I just did not have time to stream 20 hours a month, and I hate doing race watch alongs. I'm just going to say that. I hate it.
That's fair, man. That is fair.
And if you can't do race watch alongs, trying to find 20 hours a month to stream is just crazy. So yeah, thank you for the support that we did get on Twitch. It was lovely. It was like a nice little corner of the world, but it just wasn't right for us. And I think sometimes it's good to see what's right for you and what's not right for you, and then go from there.
Yeah, and bro, I appreciate the honesty as well, man. Because I think, as a fellow content creator, I can relate. Because there have been times where Georgina's asked me, bro, like I've gone a little tangent here. I remember I put in my notice for my old job, and they put me on gardening leave. And Georgina was like, "Oh, okay, great. It's summer. Loads of people are free, bro." I was recording a podcast for Stripping the Dipping throughout the summer.
You guys were going in. There was a period when you guys were doing a podcast every couple of days, and I was like, "This brother is working so hard."
Oh mate.
So what happened? Is that because you were just on gardening leave?
Bro, I was on gardening leave, so I had more time. And bro, Georgina put me in the proper Stripping the Dipping sweatshop way. And I'm not as noticed, like I love her, honestly. And it's great. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Like that's when people are free. Yeah. But every day, and even after that, I was like, I'm exhausted. I can't sustain this because it's that, and then going back into another full-time job now. And then I was like, yo, man, need to kind of just balance it out. So yeah.
Yeah, you need a work-life balance. And like you will start to not enjoy it. And when you
Mm.
stop enjoying making content, then it's going to show
Yeah.
on the streams. It's going to show on the podcast, right? And
Mhm.
our whole thing is that it's fun. But if I'm not finding it fun, if
Mhm.
Tandy's not finding it fun, then what are we doing it? Like, you know,
Mhm.
like I said, I want to make content that other people want to watch. If I'm there like yawning on screen, if I'm there like visibly exhausted, no one wants to watch that. Like you guys come to watch us to escape from your lives. You don't come to watch another man just like yawning on screen. So I just think in that sense, yeah, you have to test your limits, see where you can go, but you have to make content. You have to want to make content. And I think when you want to make content and you're energized to make content, then that's when you make the best content. Some of the things that I've done that have been the most popular things are the things that I just did for fun. Like Mary mentioned the Simba fan cam.
That's amazing, by the way. I'm gonna put that in the link in the description because
Yeah.
that is a bad boy fan cam. But
Yeah, thank you. But that was made because I did a live stream and I did that live when we did that. So we'll be doing those again, like race watch alongs in the off season.
Mhm.
And when Lewis came back, so when Lewis came back on 5th of February, I think about 3 or 4 hours before he came back, I got locked out of the Quickstop F1 account for responding to someone in a nasty way because they were. So we got locked out. So everyone was getting all their stuff out. I couldn't even see it. I
Oh
couldn't see
no.
any of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a fan cam out of
Mhm.
this Lewis Simba moment. And it was just off the cuff, and I did it. I put it out, and it's like one of our most popular things, right? And that's because I wanted to, and it was spontaneous, and it was great. And like, that's how you need to be. You need to be creative, and you need to be spontaneous, and that's where good content comes from. So, yeah.
So true. And listen, before we get on to the next question, because Mary's asked me this twice now, and I don't even know what the reference on this one is, bro. So you have to
Mary's
explain
asking
it.
me to make roast potatoes with the skin on, and I've not done that yet.
Mhm.
I will let you know. I've got a couple of roast dinners coming up, so I'll.
Yeah.
You know what the thing is? I've not even been cooking that much because I've been so busy.
Bro, that's like your thing as well, man. Like, could we
Uh,
talk about that for a second too? Because it's a
yeah,
passion which I feel, like, come on, man. Munch Club TV, bro.
do you know what it
I,
is though? Again,
mhm.
it's a good like tangent. I'm sorry to just bore everyone with like content.
Nah, I'm not boring nobody, man. They need to hear this
Um,
stuff.
but I started Quickstop F1 with Tandy as a passion project. And I just wanted to talk about F1. Didn't expect much to come from it. So I was doing Munch Club TV and Quickstop F1 just blew. And I realized I enjoyed making F1 content more than I enjoyed making food content. And I just realized that, where I thought I was having creative block and I wasn't making as much food content, it was because I just wanted to make F1 content. And so I might come back to the food content one day. I do want to kind of maybe incorporate the two things together, but I just enjoy making F1 content more. I'd rather sit and talk about F1 than buy ingredients, set the camera up,
Oh gosh.
edit, narrate it, and put it out. And the stuff that we get on a bad day on Quickstop F1, that was like a good day on Magic Club TV. So it just doesn't. For me, do what makes you happy, and
Yeah.
Quickstop F1 makes me happy. But I haven't even been cooking like for myself. Like the last month has been crazy with like the merch and the website and just the season ending and so forth. So it's been really hard to just cook for myself. Been too many takeaways. So I'm looking forward to now the season's over. I can start cooking again properly and take my foot off the gas a bit now the season's done. And I will be making roast potatoes with the skins on. All right. And I'll let you know how it goes. And if they're bad, Mary, then I'm going to charge you the $1.99 for the kilo potatoes I bought.
Well, Mary, you heard that, so I'll be checking in on this one too because I'm interested and intrigued to see how that one goes.
Very
I'm
cute.
intrigued. Okay, we'll go to the next one then. We only got two more before we wrap this up. So, bro, pick a controversial moment in the season to star in this upcoming Drive to Survive. So, quite a few nominations that we got in on Twitter. We've got RB and the Cost Cap, and obviously Snacks Verstappen. Them man there, they're eating at Gaucho, Hakkasan, all them expensive places there as they breached the cost cap and tried to justify it on those grounds. Um, Zach Brown, or should I call him Suge Knight, or Suge Brown, as I should call him, because man like Zach was just going in trying to pinch everybody's drivers and trying to sign them to McLaren Death Row Records on a mad thing during the summer. Like, that was crazy. He's going to IndyCar, he's going to World Endurance, he's going all over the motorsport plethora, just trying to like sign a driver to replace Ricardo, which is crazy. You got the Perez party scandal, because as we all know in this podcast, Georgina doesn't really like unfaithful people, and Perez,
yeah, she,
you know,
that is
got a bit heated on that one, and let's say Perez is getting a bit more than a wine at Carnival or a bachata when he got his infamous win at Monaco. We even have, and I think this goes back to something MFS said as well. So MFS 1215, thank you for that comment you said earlier. I haven't forgot the Ocon and Gasly backstory and kind of what if Netflix was to do a kind of episode on like them growing up as kids, kind of go through the archive and look at some old go-karting memories as well, and kind of get them to talk about what the beef is between them and the tension between their two families now that they're going to be in a works manufacturer from the same country they're born. I mean, and guys in the comments, feel free to throw any other kind of controversial moments you could think of, but bro, Nyasha,
is it just me on here now? Is Denz still here? Am I just like streaming on my own right now? Hi everyone. I'm on my own. I'm like, I'm just going to do the show on my own.
Bro, new co-host. Sorry about that, man. I think I was trying to click on the comments and I accidentally left the room, but I'm back.
I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Well, welcome to Stream the Dip. So I would say for me, it's got to be Brazil, Perez, Max. That was just box office stuff, to be honest. I just think it highlighted what Perez has always feared, in that it's a one-way street, and he looked genuinely hurt. All the things I've done for you or him, he wouldn't have 2 world championships if it wasn't for me. He really was hurt by that. I would love to see a behind the scenes of that. We won't get it.
Unfortunately,
we won't get it. That would be the only time, for some reason, Red Bull aren't allowing Drive to Survive. They Drive to Survive and go to Christian's home for like 6 months of the year, but God forbid they're in that garage the moment where Checo Perez is confronting Max. So yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that moment. That's probably for me, just to see some Red Bull turmoil. I think that's probably my moment to put on Drive to Survive.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you on that one as well, bro. Because I mean, it's the most recent one that went right to the end of the season, and let's unpack that too for a bit. Because like people will say, well, Max is a number one driver, and in a way, Sergio Perez knew what he signed up for when he basically signed that Red Bull contract, and he sold his soul, because he's always that independent driver driving for midfield teams, and then when that thing happened at Racing Point, which is now Aston Martin, and there was no other real high works team that could really take that punt on him, and Red Bull came calling. I mean, no one could be really angry at him for taking him on.
You've got to say yes, right?
But at the same time, you know when you go to that side of the city, you know what's going on down there. You know what's happening in the bando. When you're seeing a couple pirate expos and them thing, you know what's happening and what you're signing yourself up for. And for him to think that he's going to go into Red Bull and that he was going to be the one challenging for a title and that Red Bull would allow him to do that, would get a car, was so naive. But having said that, at times he's shown moments of brilliance. There was the time in Jeddah where, qualifying wise and when the Red Bull RB18 team was in this early phase, it seemed to suit Perez's driving style. And even in Monaco, although some kind of new footage, or not new footage, but some new kind of like points were made about that one post Brazil, it was still intriguing just to see Perez kind of fit into the team and him make kind of a more solid step, towards trying to match Max on a more consistent basis. But then going back to the actual crux of the thing, bro, because I'm waffling on here, I think maybe he did have a right to feel a bit aggrieved as well, because he has bent over backwards for Max so many times. If you go back to 2021 even, this was the guy that was battling with Lewis Hamilton at Turkey and literally going side by side with Lewis into every single corner just to kind of take points off of Lewis. This was the guy that he was basically sacrificing his own race just to get the fastest lap, just to get take away points again away from Lewis. This is the guy this year that, he was in a position to win the race in Spain when Lewis was out of the equation, when Kevin took him out, when Max was having the DRS issues. Again, he gave up, his track position to Max.
Yeah.
In Baku, the same thing. We see more or less the same thing week in, week out. He has to kind of play that role to Max. So for Max in that moment to just say, no, I already explained my reasons and I'm not doing that, I was like rotted. But you know what? Yasha, now I'll kind of give the ball back to you on this one. I'm gonna do, a nice Neymar and Mbappe PSG kind of system here.
Link up.
Exactly, did Red Bull have this coming? Have they created their own monster? Because
my God, Denz, before you go any further, yes, these men have Frankensteined this guy from the beginning. They've grown this kid in a lab. He's never had anyone tell him to cut the shit. Like, just cut the shit, bro. Respectfully, I'm sorry to swear on your platform.
No, anytime, man. Mm-hmm.
But like, there's never any accountability for what he does wrong. Brazil, no accountability. Monza, he parked a car on a man's head, no accountability. His family, his extended family being racist. This guy comes out and says, oh, he's actually a nice guy. No accountability. Like, at no point is Max ever accountable for his actions. And so why would he, as someone who's grown up in an environment where he's been allowed to say what he wants to say, do what he wants to do with absolute impunity, like why would he care? Why would he like play as a team member? You saw how he walked out on the team in Singapore after they like messed up his qualifying. Like, imagine Lewis Hamilton just walked out without debriefing the team. That is insane, Denz. So of course, Red Bull have engineered this driver to be the way he is, and they've created this whole situation. And it's one that I'm sure Max went into that meeting, said what he wanted to say, probably said, mate, I'm never, ever, 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 ever letting you pass. Don't forget that. And I don't think Checo will ever ask for it again. Trust me. If it happens, I'll be so shocked.
Mate, I'm going to have to play the lottery that day, man.
Honestly. 10, that's 1,000,000 to 1.
It's true, but I echo your sentiments there as well, man. I agree. And you know what? Red Bull have to blame themselves because they were so desperate. And I think it comes down to them underperforming for so many years that they just start to get desperate with the thing now. They wanted a championship. And if it meant taking a 17-year-old and basically accelerating his growth and making him grow quicker than he even actually could grow, just to kind of get them what they wanted, they never cared. And the glorious thing about it as well, Nyash, is I think next year, we'll see if the Red Bull isn't as competitive, if they don't have... This year they were comfortable. Ferrari were a bunch of clowns, and I don't think we roasted them enough, to be honest, but we can do, probably on another live stream we'll do in the future. Yeah. But, they had it easy this year. But next year, the moment things start going left for Red Bull, you'll see this venomous beast, this creature, this monster that they've got there now. and they won't be able to handle it.
They won't. And look at all those compilations of Max on the radio. You won't. All of them, most of them, are from like before 2021, when the car was bad, when he was struggling to get podiums, when and I just think Max Verstappen is such a talented driver. Make no mistake. I'm not. Look, whatever you want to say about Max, yeah, he's clearly a talented driver. He's not a Latifi, right? Like this guy can drive a car. So, like I said, they put everything into him, but they put everything into him on the driving side. But I think on the personal side, there's not really been any investment in his like growth as a human being, I guess. And but that's what some people love about Max, right? He's straight talking. He says what's on his mind. He is he is Max, and some people love that, right? I don't, but other people do, and that's what it is. But I think as a team, Red Bull have gone from kind of plucky underdogs to like pantomime villains, and a big part of that is Max and Christian Horner and the relationship that they have, to be honest.
True, and I'll supplement that point as well, bro, because I agree, and I think that's in a way why I miss characters, like Niki Lauda or like Ron Dennis or like them team principals. They don't care if it's Michael Schumacher, they don't care if it's Senna, they do not care. Just you must respect the team, you must respect all the mechanics, all the catering staff, all the engineers, your teammate, everybody. Like it doesn't matter how big or how small you are. I even remember Niki Lauda after Nico Rosberg did a Brittany in 2016 at Spain, and how quick he was to kind of grab both of the drivers. Yeah. I say, listen, you both represent Mercedes, and if you can't show respect, both of you are my team. I don't care. Like, and that's kind of what Red Bull don't have. And, it's all happy and smiles now whilst, the champagne's running and whilst they've got the advantage. But like I said, Formula One's a game of momentum and things change very quickly. They don't stay static for long at all. So, there's so many things. And in that as well, let's read some of these comments. So Jess has been saying, I've been noticing how his race engineer has been talking back a bit and trying to hold him accountable. Yeah. And that's Jim. I think it's Giancarlo JP. It's something Lambiasi. I think it's Giampieri Lambiaso or JP. Okay. But yeah, just like even with him, you could tell he gets annoyed with Max, like, and is insistent, just like whining and complaining and being ignorant over the radio and not taking on board what the team say. But ultimately, that's what they've caused. And MFS as well says, Denz, that's exactly right. Red Bull has made themselves dependent on Max. They don't believe in their own capabilities outside of Max's contributions, which, is true. And something we've seen, I guess, manufacture itself over the last couple of years. But at some point, they'll get tired of Max too, and they'll be looking for a new golden boy. It'll be fun to see how they phase Max. Or eventually when people are going to start cancelling Max for some of the outrageous stuff he does or says from time to time too. So, yeah, crazy as well, And then on some of those other moments as well, like, what we got here? Yeah, just like even the Flexi floor thing as well. Somebody mentioned on Twitter the Flexi floor thing. And
Jesus.
Just how that kind of thing. And, when that was a thing, we thought that Red Bull and Ferrari were going to get knocked back a peg, but then come back in Spa, and Red Bull are 2 seconds quicker than everybody else, and it's Ferrari that have been knocked back.
Messed everyone else up.
You know what I'm saying? But actually, let me ask you a question on that one too, because we actually haven't given too much smoke to Ferrari. And shout out to David Noble. He's probably thanking his lucky stars we haven't. Shout out to David.
My guy David, yeah.
Exactly, great guy. And just on that one, does Bonotto need to go? Are you Bonotto in or Bonotto out as far as you're concerned with direction Ferrari in? And what they could have achieved compared to where they have finished ultimately?
I feel like Bonotto. I feel like I know. I see where he's coming from in that he doesn't want to criticize the team in public. I think in the past, Ferrari team principals have always been quite vocal in everything's going wrong, and it's not my fault. And I think he, as someone who's grown up and come through the ranks in Ferrari, knows what that's like when a team principal is beating down on you. So I would hope behind closed doors he's not saying the same things, but it doesn't seem like it. I mean, the tire strategy in Brazil was
it's laughable, bro.
you know what I mean? Like, how, when you think they can't get any worse, like, that was just incredible.
Bro, I'm gonna give you a better one than that. Remember the time them man pull up with 3 tires? They thought they had a tricycle instead of a Formula 1 car in Sanford. The man came out with 3 tires.
And they were just standing around, bro. And they brought out one tire, and that was moving the tire. It was so bad. So, I mean, look, I think the fact that it's not got better over the course of the season would point to a manager who, even if he's not chastising people in public, he doesn't seem to be doing it in private. Nothing seems to be changing, and you know, there needs to be a change, wholesale changes in Ferrari. But maybe that's what they're going to do in the off season. They'll look at it and hopefully they'll change it, because it's cost them so many points. It's unreal. They should have been nowhere near Mercedes for second in the championship. Like, that should have been guaranteed a long time ago. And I just seen Jess mentioned Mercedes. Like, Mercedes aren't great either.
I'm laughing, but that's true.
Do you know what I mean? So I just think it's one of those situations where we just need to be able to they need to be able to sort it out. I hope they do. Does Mattia need to go? I don't think he needs to go, but I think he needs more support. And maybe he needs to go back to a technical role and they get a leader in, but it's not great.
I agree with you there, man. And that's the thing. I think with Binotto, like you mentioned, he was an apprentice at Ferrari. Like when he was like 19, 18, he was working as like a mechanic, and he's that typical company man, like an apprentice that comes in so it's great to see that that's still a thing in Formula One, and you can work your way up through the ranks, and you don't just have to be this guy that's got like money just to be a team principal. And I think in a way he takes a lot from Toto too, in terms of like a no blame culture, where you try and take heat and pressure off the team, and you just try and kind of just like deal with things and move forward. But having said that, Mercedes can get away with that because they're 7-time world champions, and no one can question them, or nobody was questioning them coming to the season. Ferrari, bro, like somebody said on Twitter the other day that last time Ferrari won a championship, George Bush was still in power.
It's crazy.
Bro, there's certain people tuning into this podcast today that wouldn't even know who George Bush is. They weren't even allowed, bro.
I don't even know if iPhones, like, what iPhone was that into? Was there even iPhone?
3G, bro. It would have been BlackBerry and Nokia and them things.
BlackBerry and Nokia, because I was in uni them times, and there was no iPhones on road. I'll tell you that for free. There was not a single iPhone on road. So I just they need big changes if they're going to operationally be a team that's capable of fighting for championships.
They need to because the time's ticking and it's Ferrari, It's the same team. As soon as things don't go their way, they're quick to say, oh, we'll just drop out the sport. And then the FIA, like love fools, they start saying, no, but it's Ferrari. They've been here since the inception of Formula One. Formula One is Ferrari and all these different things there. So you got to have the same energy either way. So, final bit, bro, before I let you go, because I know we've had you for a while now. I know you're a busy guy. Predictions for next season, bro. What's really going to happen with this thing, really? Because there's lots of things to really dissect here. What's going to happen with Red Bull, with this Max and kind of Sergio thing that we alluded to earlier? We just mentioned it with Ferrari too. Like, is it a thing where Binotto can steady the ship and actually make Ferrari a team you're afraid of on a Sunday? Or is it time like a Frederick Vasseur or more serious hitman type manager has to come in like and rule the ship. How are Mercedes going to fare with this W14, and kind of, are we going to see George being a bit more sneaky, or are they going to work with each other rather than against each other? How long is that going to last? Then you got to look at Formula B now. You got to look at Piastri, planting Piastri and Lando. And again, like you mentioned as well, bro, I think you mentioned a gem, which is important too. Piastri's not going to get a lot of time. I think if he had stayed at Alpine, I think they would have felt like they owed him because of the amount of time they had him in the academy,
Yeah.
and not promoted him. But because he's going to McLaren now, people are going to be looking at it and saying, well, what is it? Because he's had a promising junior career. He's won practically all the championships you could win throughout your kind of rookie career going up into the different formulas. But that is crunch time. And like you mentioned, that kind of thing being part of Alpine's development program and then this being thrown into McLaren, it's not a lot of time. So there's that. Obviously, you got the French Revolution at Alpine as well. You've got Nyck de Vries at AlphaTauri. And again, would that mark the end of Tsunoda? Because we saw it with Mick. Mick was slapping up Mick Schumacher. I mean, Mick was slapping up himself. That kind of was the case.
No, he kind of did, to be fair.
But, he was beating Nikita Mazepin in his rookie season, and that was great. Then in the second season, when he got moved to by Kevin Magnussen, stocks fell down. Will Yuki's stocks fall down? You got obviously the likes of Alfa Romeo. They've struggled to develop the car, and on days where the car was good, Valtteri was up there as well as Zhou Guanyu as well. So you've got that. You've got Williams as well, with obviously their new driver lineup too, with Logan getting promoted as well. There's just so much happening, man. So before I ramble on even more, predictions, man. What do you think are going to be the big key points of next season?
I think the big key points are going to be Mercedes. How close is Mercedes going to get to Red Bull, and how much are Red Bull going to be affected by having less win time than everyone else? We've got pretty stable regulations, so I don't think that much, but there'll definitely be a convergence in pace of all the teams. So I think it'll be closer throughout the field, and I think that can only be good. And there have been more overtakes this year than last year, so I guess in that sense, the regs have worked. I don't necessarily think we've had better races, but I think if there is a convergence between the top three teams, I think we could be on to a great season. Look, in any season where Lewis Hamilton is closer to the front would be incredible. So I guess my prediction is that Lewis will be closer to the front and will be able to apologies. We'll be able to see.
I was going to say, is that Max?
The FIA knocking down on my door. We'll be able to see. We'll be able to see a closer racing and a closer championship. I do think there'll be a closer championship next season. How close, I don't know. But my prediction is there'll be a closer championship, and Mercedes will be in and around the championship, if not leading it the whole time. But I do think it'll be closer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some great takes there as well, man. And also, just in the comments too, Jess made me laugh. Cause no predictions, Lo. Just wake up and watch. Listen, I'm not trying to get my hopes too high. So that might be the mentality I go with next season. We'll see. Mary said as well, Red Bull will get rid of Checo and stop Nyck de Vries. That is not too far fetched, because Nyck isn't even that far off Checo in terms of age. And if it's a thing where he comes in and slaps Yuki Tsunoda, as I just alluded to, with like maybe Yuki stocks dropping, I mean, it then becomes a toss-up. Do you put Daniel inside there? And Red Bull, that's the next thing why I'm kind of surprised is they're a bit stubborn. They might let you come back into the B team, but nobody's ever no one's ever left the front door and then come through the front door again in the big brother team. Gasly hasn't. Vettel wasn't allowed to. So is it a thing where they would look at, and then again for them as well, they could do a lot with the marketing. 2 Dutch drivers, also who would challenge Max more? Is it a thing where they might get kind of like, they might think, you know what, since Max wants to be, all powerful and this big boss, would Nyck give like Max more to think about than Daniel Ricciardo? I don't know. What's your take on that?
No and
Mm.
no. Like, I think, in all honesty, I think Checo's safe this year. I don't know if Checo is safe 2024. And I think if there's a greater convergence in pace and Checo's starting to qualify regularly in like he was in 2021, pardon me, in like 5th, 6th, 7th, and Red Bull are getting double teamed on strategy by, or even like triple teamed by Charles, Carlos, Lewis, George, and they've only got one car in the fight, then they'll probably look at that and think, do we stick with this for another year, or do we just pay Checo off? Same way that
Daniel Ricciardo.
then Ricardo Racing Point, I'm pretty sure Checo had a contract for the next year, and they just paid him off. So, contracts don't mean anything in Formula One, but I do think Checo is vulnerable, especially now that they've had this bust up. And the moment he stepped out of line, Max is not on his team anymore. So, yeah, that would be interesting to see.
True. And that brings us on to the final one, Yasha. And this again, bro, thanks a million, for joining us and just for your time and just all the opportunities you've given to me as well, bro. Because without you, bro, I wouldn't even know Brad. And even then, I had that go-karting experience at the beginning of the year as well.
Yeah.
This, bro, me and you have to chop it up afterwards as well, man. Or if you ever get some spare time as well, we'll link up and do something for the culture. But
you were busy that time. I had everyone round for dinner, innit?
Bro, I just finished the 24 hours of Le Mans race. I was Mary will tell you, like, whilst Mike was doing the final run of stints before I got back into the car, bro, I was like, I'll just put my head on the pillow, man. Catch 2-2, like eye closed in that, bro. Man started snoring on the stream. I was so embarrassed. I was embarrassed.
So embarrassing,
bro.
No, but that's fine. That's fine. You're committed to that, and it's really cool to see that grow.
Bro, and I rep, bro. Every time I go out there as well, I've got the Quickstop logos on my helmet. I got on the car. I got my carbon fiber rear wing. I fully rep unapologetically because, people need to be aware. People need to have awareness of what we're doing, the amazing work you guys do, and pay homage to you guys as well, you and Tandy, for the amazing work that you guys have always put in and the vision that you guys have in the scene too. So to kind of segue it back to the question then, man, like things you're looking forward to next year. I know you're giving us a couple of cheeky hinters, which I won't make you expose too much of, but is there anything you can share with us or any exclusive you want to drop straight here on Shipping the Dipping? Anything at all, man?
Sure, why not? Next year. I just think everything's going to go bigger. We have a team now, so obviously we've got Mario, who's our producer. We've got Chris, who's our editor. So there'll just be so much more content because it frees up my time. So there'll be live streams will be back, and they'll be better. We'll be doing more evergreen content, so like beginners guides to F1. We'll be doing some, I want to do some I really want to in the off season see if I can cook the national dish from every country that we visit in F1. So that's something. So just stuff like that. I think Quickstop Live is probably gonna have to go to a bigger venue, so that experience is going to be bigger with more people and just a bit more, even more of a party atmosphere with like DJs and maybe get some caterers. I'd love to have some jerk chicken, rice and peas and them things there.
You're talking my language now with the Quickstop sauce.
Yeah, with the Quickstop sauce. Actually need to make sure we bottle everything with the Quickstop sauce. So yeah, everything will be bigger, I can't talk about other things too much.
Yeah. We respect.
But we're gonna be we're just going to get bigger and bigger, and that's because of the support we have, and more merch lines, and just more everything. And I think just there'll be more opportunities for people to be able to interact with us and potentially come on the pod as well, and just all those kinds of things, really. So yeah, just keep an eye out. We're going to be doing some really cool things. Like, let me tell you now, like, what we did this season was great, but what we're going to do next season is going to be incredible. So just what I can reveal, actually, we're going to release, before the start of next season, we're going to release a Team LHFC. So imagining if Team LHFC had a football club, and there's going to be a Team LH football shirt coming out.
Oh man.
Which is going to be really cool. It's all designed, it's ready to go. So yeah, look out for that.
Man, it's exciting times, and the kind of key themes I'm getting there as well, man, is this exponential growth, and just kind of like an amazing journey, and just the adventures that you guys are going on as well and embarking on are great. And even like you mentioned there too, there's something there for everyone, which is amazing. And even as well, just getting people onto the platform as well in the traditional way that you guys have. You guys are seeing what impact it's had on my life and what I'm able to do because of you guys. So like, honestly, I'm just so thankful to you and to Tandy just for the amazing work that you guys do.
No, when you came on, when we did the fan forum last year, I think it was you and Keenan were the pair, and it was like a really enjoyable segment of the show. And even the Grand Prix episode we done this season was incredible. We need to get you back on the show for sure.
Anytime.
And 100%. You're just so busy. I'm like, has he even got time for me anymore?
Bro, I will drop everything. I will drop everything. Run over to wherever I need to be, man.
Cool. Don't worry, we'll sort that out for sure. But yeah, no, thank you to you, and I see what you're doing over here. It's incredible. You guys have got a really cool platform. And yeah, man, like I'm gonna take a bit of a break over Christmas. So there'll be content until Christmas, and then I think for the first 3 weeks of January, I think I'm gonna take a break and just like take stock, sleep, and then we'll be back in full force, and we'll get you on the show, bro.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I'm looking forward to that in the new year and seeing you soon, seeing Tandy soon as well. And like you mentioned too, just like, it's been an amazing year for just everyone just in our space. I'm so proud of you, so proud of Tommy, so proud of Tandy, so proud of Wolfpack Performance, so proud of Cameron, so proud of Thanos, so proud of Lewis Nation, shout out to those guys as well. Just everybody.
Everyone, like, you look at FIA Girly, look at
Denny and obviously Tarmac Talk as well.
Like
Bryson with the Tech Heads Talk as well.
Black AF1 podcast. Like I went on Box. Was it Box? I can't remember, but that's really bad. But they're from Australia, and I went on their podcast, and they were lovely. And there's so many more Black F1 content creators, and there's only going to be more because I guess it's cool when you see people like yourself, doing things. I could do that. I want to do something like that, and that's dope. So the more the merrier, for sure.
Yeah, but Nyasha, I want you to remember. You guys, I'm looking into the camera. You started this, bro. Honestly, like it wouldn't be possible without you or Tandy at all, man. And like you mentioned, great names in there as well. Obviously, Denny, FIA Girly, and even Peter on pole. Just
yes, Peter on pole, Piss of Fracker. Like, right? There's so many people. So,
bro,
100%.
Bro, the space is nice. But listen, we're going to conclude this episode. For everybody in the chat, thank you so much. Thank you a million, to everybody who's been inside here, showing love, showing support. It's always, it doesn't even feel really like a podcast, It just feels like I'm just catching up with one of my bros.
Yeah, man, catching up with my boy.
Exactly, and just being here and sharing these experiences with you guys as well, man. So honestly, make sure, listen, if you guys haven't subscribed, like that should be a crime, man. That should be like a FIA like penalizable offense. If you're not following Quickstop F1 on Twitter, on like literally YouTube, on Instagram, just in life. I don't know for you, fam. That's looking like a kind of Latifi thing. Still,
Yeah.
yeah, like he's looking better. It's giving Jamie Oliver Jerk Rice vibes, fam. It's looking a bit kind of like the ups and them man there, bro. But
Turtle Bayish.
the finagle thing, you get me? Oh gosh, listen, honestly, guys, it's been your boy AMG Denz, aka the MDM, the modern day Morgan Freeman, here with absolute another banger. The final, 8 p.m. debrief cookout. But again, couldn't think of a more legendary way to kind of conclude that series until we're back next year again with the genesis, the prototype. This guy is me. Like literally Nyasha is me.
You are you, Denz. You are a shining light in the community, and you do it in your own special way. No one can do what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you need
Thank
to
you, bro.
recognize that. So you never dim your own light, bro.
Nah, bro, but honestly, like I get bro. I know that sounds bare free, bro. I get butterflies, bro, because you guys.
That's cool.
No, thank you,
Cool.
thank you, man. But no, guys, thank you so much for showing love. Make sure you subscribe to Quickstop F1. Make sure you go and share love. Make sure you go and share everything as well. Bigger, even more content coming as well. It's going to be superb, and you guys are going to be here from the seed to the root to the free to the true. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Just make sure that you're part of this journey, because honestly, it's going to be amazing. Mary here with AMG sauce. And can I get a hashtag quick stop sauce in there as well? Come on, give me a quick stop sauce as well. I need that. I need the quick stop sauce, because that's the best, man. But again, Yasha, any final words before we round this one up, bro?
No, I think for me, just like, thanks for having me on. Thank you to everyone in the comments. Jess, 100% start doing something if you want to do something. If anyone has any questions on content creation, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. Happy to talk to you guys about them. And yeah, man, thank you so much for having me on. And have a lovely, if I don't talk to you guys, have a lovely end of the month, Christmas, them things there, and or Thanksgiving to all the American guys who celebrate. And yeah, let's get it next season.
Oh, it's gonna be perfect, man. You guys are gonna want to be part of this journey. It's gonna be lit, and we're gonna bring it to you even more closer, even more action, even more stuff to just be part of. So, absolutely loving that, man. Like MJ as well, with a quick sauce. Don't know. We need to get that. We need to get that hashtag trending. We need to get that trending. Maybe if we get that trending, we can get like a special T-shirt with the sauce and that too. Bro. It's gonna be absolutely lovely. It's gonna be absolutely lovely as well. Mary said it perfectly too. But on that bombshell, guys, thank you again as always. Make sure you slap the like and you share, and we'll be back soon. Until next time, peace. We out.
Take care,
Bro.